Hey guys, what's up? This is Francisco with Barareso Capital, and today we're gonna do the weekly watch list video. So I have a couple of setups that I want to share with you, and also remember, guys, that this video is for informational purposes only, and that everything is based on my personal opinion and is not financial advice. So now, the chart that I have in my screen, I'm gonna share with you somewhere around 7 bullish setups, and then I'm gonna share 2 bearish setups. That way, we can have both direction of both we can trade in both directions. Now the first one that I'm going to show you right here, we have UNG, which is the United States Natural Gas, the fund, which is the ETF for natural gas. And you can see here that we're starting to form a really nice cup and a handle, right? You can see here, right? We have the cup. Here we have the handle. You can see that we pull back to the 50 daily 50 moving average. We had a strong move to the upside, which is the first tradable move in my opinion. Usually what I'm looking for is the pullback. So we had this pullback to the 21 exponential moving average. This is the first tradable move. So now what I'm expecting is the second tradable move. I'm not expecting for a straight breakout. And the reason that I'm not expecting for a straight breakout is because we already, right? You know that any guys of you have been following the channel, you know that I used a lot of Fibonacci, and you can see that here, if we measure extension from this high to this low right here, here we have the 1272 extension, and that's exactly where we stop. I think this was a selling candle, and what I'm expecting to is I'm actually expecting this price action to come back into the 0618 retracement. This retracement is measured from this low to this high right here. This is the 0618, and that also happens to coincide with the 21 exponential moving average. Now, why I'm expecting a pullback instead just of a straight breakout. Of course, a breakout could happen, but the reason I'm not expecting a breakout is because you can see here the trend oscillator, this indicator right here, which is the momentum indicator that I use in all my studies. You can see here that we came here, right? You can see that the momentum indicator was straight up. We came, and the momentum came all the way to that 50 line, which is awesome. And then we actually make a higher high, right, in comparison to this swing right here. But what happened with the momentum indicator? The momentum indicator is actually going lower. So if the momentum indicator is not following price, then there's a high probability that price is going to pull back. Now, of course, we could just go to the upside and have an amazing breakout, and all the breakout traders are going to be pretty happy. But what I'm looking for is actually to buy a pullback. And I'm using this momentum divergence, this bearish divergence in momentum, as my thesis that we're actually going to pull back, and this is going to be a viable pullback, of course, if it holds. And then I'm going to be looking for the next extension, which is the 0618 extension, somewhere around 34.93. So this is the first setup that I have. I don't think this is actionable, right? For anyone who has been following the channel or my Twitter account, I buy pullbacks. I buy pullbacks or I short rallies. That's the way that I trade. I don't buy breakouts, and I don't trade momentum, right? I trade momentum, but I trade momentum when I buy support, and then I will follow that momentum, but I don't buy the breakouts. So first things first, I'm gonna wait for that pullback, and if that pullback happens, then the setup is gonna be active, right? So that's the first one. Then the next one is gonna be the QQQ. And usually the way I trade the QQQ, I just buy the TQQQ, right? So the way that I execute this, I buy the TQQQ, which is a 3x ETF. So that way I can find some leverage and buy smaller positions, which I think is pretty awesome. So why this setup, right? If you guys have already seen the market update video, I'm gonna link that video at the end of this weekly watch list video, and you can see there in that video that we were talking a lot about the 0618 retracement, which was measured from the high of March to the low of June, that actually acted as resistance. And you can see right now that the QQQ is pulling back. What I'm looking for in the QQQ is actually a pullback. I prefer a pullback all the way to the breakout level, but of course that 21 exponential moving average is also a viable pullback. If we happen to have that pullback into that 21 exponential moving average, I'm going to be looking to start my position. And if we happen to retest this breakout level, which also happens to coincide, it also happened to to have a this on-fill gap right here, then I'm going to be looking to buy that pullback. I'm going to be using the TQQQ, and then I'm going to be looking for this to continue higher into that declining 200 daily moving average. And if it fails, I'm going to have my stop somewhere around this low right here, and that way I'm risking basically a small portion in comparison to what I'm expecting to gain, meaning that my risk is going to be pretty low and I can manage my risk correctly, and then the reward is going to be somewhere around 4 to 5 times the risk that I'm actually having. So that's actually the way that I like to trade. So that's going to be the QQQ. And then the other names that I want to show you, we're going to go through a couple of stocks. I have a lot of semiconductors in my screens. The first one is On. And what I like about On is that it's trading, right? You can see the base here, right? We're already trading a new all-time high ground, if I'm not mistaken, or at least 52-week highs. And you can see, right? You can see here the cup and handle, right? You can see here the cup, you can see here the handle, you can see that we actually had a breakout. Let me just, I think the color in my, there we go. The color in my pencil changed a little bit. Oh, it's actually this one right here. So you can see here that we actually had the cup, we actually had the handle, and then we actually had the move to the upside. You can see that we find support at that 21 exponential moving average, which happened to be the 0618 retracement measure from this low to this high, and we stop right there at that level, which is somewhere around 62.35, and then we had a pretty strong move to the upside. Now, I'm not looking just to buy On based on this inside day. Why? Because I'm having a momentum divergence, right? Meaning the price is going higher with momentum actually going lower. If I have momentum going lower and price going higher, I'm not going to buy price, right? I'm not going to buy price in a momentum basis. I'm going to be looking for a pullback. And what is my first level of support? Is going to be the 21 exponential moving average, which happened to be also the 0618 level measured from this low to this high right here. That's going to be the first level that I'm going to be looking to buy. And that way I can manage risk correctly with On. So that's going to be the first name that I want to show you. The second name is AEHR. You can see that we actually had a pretty strong peg, meaning that we had earnings. We had a lot of volume coming into AEHR. We actually had a pretty strong move. You can see here that we came all the way to that 8. You can see here that the momentum trend oscillator acted as resistance, and then we had a strong move to the upside, right? You can see the strong move to the upside. And now what's happening is that price is flagging, right? So a lot of people are talking about the flag in AEHR, but what I'm seeing is that we're losing momentum, right? You can see the momentum is already below that EMA. So what I'm looking for is a pullback into that 21 exponential moving average. If we happen to have a pullback into that 21 exponential moving average, then I'm going to be looking to get involved in AEHR. Now, the second name that I want to show you is CELH. A lot of people talking about Celsius, and right, pretty strong move in Celsius. You can see here that we have this cup. Now we're starting to form this handle in a form of a flag, and it's actually a pretty strong setup. But what's happening, if you have been following my channel, I always talk about momentum, because what I have found in my experience in trading is that momentum changes a structure before price. So you always want to be aware of momentum, because momentum is actually pretty important. And you can see here that we have Celsius, we have CLH. You can see here that we have the flag. But what's happening with momentum? Momentum continues to make lower lows. So what I'm expecting is at least a close of this gap. Maybe perhaps a test of that 50 daily moving average. We hope, because we haven't tested it. I think that will be an amazing buying opportunity. But of course, at least a close of this gap, I think that's going to be essential. I wouldn't buy this 21 exponential, because as you can see, momentum is going lower. Perhaps the momentum goes all the way to that 50 line. Perhaps I'm going to be interested in buying that pullback in momentum as well. So it's going to be CLH, right? Also looking for a pullback. And then I have Apple right here, and you can see Apple, pretty strong move in Apple, right? It was just straight up all the way, right? We had these, you can see here that the momentum indicator went above the EMA here. You can see that we find support right here in this day, and then basically we just had a pretty strong move all the way above that 8 exponential moving average. You can see that Apple is sitting right right at that 8 exponential moving average. And you can see that the momentum is starting to break to the low, to the downside. So what I'm looking at least in Apple is a retest of this breakout level. A retest of that breakout level will come somewhere around 166.48, and then perhaps by that retest, as well at the retest of this 21 exponential moving average, and then perhaps a continuation higher. And then I'm going to be using this 21 as my line in the sand if Apple wants to hold that, or if Apple wants to fail and continue to the downside. Then I have Tesla, which is also forming a cup and a handle, right? You can see here that we have the cup. You can see here that we have the handle in a form of a flag. But what's happening here, right? A lot of people were talking about, oh, Tesla going all the way to 1,000, breaking above 940, which was this high here. And this is why I love momentum, right? Because you can see here, right? We had a pretty strong move in Tesla. We had a squeeze. We had earnings. We had pullback to the 8, and then we have a strong move to the upside. Then what happened? We had a pullback in price all the way to that 21 and to that 0618 0618 retracement, which is the level that I am always watching. Then you can see that we actually had another move to the upside to test this double top here. But what happened with momentum, right? Price went all the way to test that price. But what happened with momentum? Momentum made a lower low, right? Momentum didn't came and test this high here. Momentum make a lower low here. So that's a bearish divergence. At the moment that we have a bearish divergence, I'm expecting that breakout to fail, and I'm going to be willing to buy a pullback into support. What is going to be the pullback? The pullback that I'm watching is all the way to 840, or perhaps even that 50 daily moving average all the way to 800. So I'm not looking to buy Tesla right now, but Tesla is in my radar for a pullback because we had a pretty strong move to the upside. We also have the split. Is the split going to have any effect, or perhaps we have the split and then Tesla just continues to the downside? We have to be open to those circumstances, but we can manage risk by buying the pullbacks and not buying that strength into resistance. That's why I think it's really important to just focus on pullbacks and use them as your way to trade. But that's my style. And then the last name that I'm going to show with you is Unity Software. I think it's one of the names in ARK that looks the strongest. You can see here that we had this base, we have earnings, and we had a pretty strong move to the upside. Now we're retesting this breakout. In my opinion, I don't think the breakout is going to hold. I think that we're going to retest this 50 daily moving average, and that 50 daily moving average is going to be the buying opportunity to then perhaps continue to see Unity Software going higher. And that way, if that 50 daily moving average fails, you can have your stop somewhere around here, and that way you risk your risk is pretty small for the reward that you're looking in the trade. So those are the names that I have for you guys. I think that these are some of the best names that I found in terms of continuation in the squeeze that we have seen in the market. I don't think that you just buy the pullback that we're having right now. I think that the market is going to continue to pull back next week. I'm going to at least wait for a pullback into that 21 exponential moving average in the Nasdaq Composite. And then after having that pullback, then I'm going to be watching at these stocks to see at what levels are they trading. I think that the indexes are really important. If you just watch the indexes, this is one tip that I have found a lot of success with. Focus on the indexes, right? Focus on the indexes. Are the indexes in support? Then look at the stocks. Are the indexes at resistance? Then look at the stocks. Because if you just use statistics, then you can see that 3 out of 4 stocks, I think it is, move with the market. So focus on the market. I think that it makes a lot of sense to just focus in the market, because you know that if you focus in the market and you have your levels in the market, then you know that 3 out of 4 stocks, which is 75% of the stocks, are going to move with the market. So of course you can find some honey badgers and stocks that are moving again in other direction of the market, but I prefer just to go with the statistics and just let the numbers play. Let just the numbers be on my side, right? And that way you can use that to your advantage. So that's one of the tips that I have, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for watching the video. I wish you the best of luck for next week, for next trading week. And remember to like and subscribe, and also check out my Twitter account. So thank you so much, guys, and good luck. Bye-bye. Thanks.